Hi everyone. So this is another short video about navigating conflict. And today I wanted to talk about making decisions. So yeah, lots of you will know the ways that decisions are generally made. So you probably know comes to mind about voting and the majority wins, or maybe someone with power just decides. But you probably also know about consensus decision making, which is quite a specific form, but also a general sense that everyone in the room needs to come to an agreement for it to be consensus. And then another way of making decisions that some of you will also know is called consent-based decision making. So the difference between consensus and consent is in general terms that with consent, it's like everyone in the room is willing, genuinely willing to go ahead. It might not be their preferred thing, might not be their favorite outcome, but there's enough willingness, enough kind of sense that it meets their needs for them to say yes. So yeah, again, with consent-based decision making, there's different ways to do that. And I want to talk about one way which comes from deep democracy, and particularly around Lewis deep democracy, which is one of the forms that came out of deep democracy in general. And in that, there's a really specific question which I love, which I think is useful to share, and that is, what would it take to come along? What would it take to come along? Another way you might say that is, what would need to change for this to genuinely be okay for you? So the idea is that we might have had a discussion, heard lots of views, heard lots of ideas, and there wasn't an obvious one which everyone's wanted to go for. We might have ended up in a debate, we might have used deep democracy or some other form to help us move through options, and now we've got options on the table. And maybe one of them is coming out as the most popular, like most people want it, or there's been a vote for some reason that's kind of the preferred choice. And what we want to ask is the people that didn't choose that or object to that, what would it take for you to come along, or what would need to change for this to be okay for you? And we really want to make sure it's like genuine willingness. There's a genuine yes. So we're not talking about coercion. We're not talking about someone feeling they have to say yes, but behind the scenes, they're annoyed or they're not happy with it. They didn't feel able to say. So we're looking for genuine willingness. And the reason why this is worth knowing is with consensus-based decision making, it can be really beautiful, and also a lot of us have had the experience of it taking a really long time. So if there's enough energy and willingness, maybe a project or a community people really care about and they're willing to spend as long as it takes to find something where everyone is in consensus, then great. And often we have time constraints. People maybe don't have the patience to sit for a really long process. They've got other demands on their time. And so we want to find this balance of not just going with the majority, and some people, aren't happy and maybe would sabotage it later or need to leave or something. And all the other way of the scale is that we stay long enough that everyone finds consensus. So this consent-based way is a way of finding the solution that's the best fit, and then adjusting it with people's objections and really valuing their objections and their no as gold, bits of information that can make this decision even better. So yeah, hope that was helpful.